Ciao, jewelry making friends. My name is Joey Balestrieri. Welcome to my work table and welcome to the second episode in my new video series called Joey's Jewelry Box. In this series, every video here will be on a special playlist titled Joey's Jewelry Box. Look for that pink jewelry box in the thumbnail if you're following the episodes in this series. And what I plan to do in every one of these videos is to either repair, redesign, or upcycle either a vintage piece of jewelry or a piece of jewelry that I've made or that needs some attention, that the supplies in it are too good to discard and, not to be a throwaway society. So today's project is actually going to be a piece that I made about 6 months ago for a video. And I love this. This was actually my prototype for the video. And I took it out to wear it maybe a week ago. And I noticed that these little charm holders that I kind of turned upside down and used as bails were starting to darken. And it wasn't terrible, but I was looking at it and I thought I used this beautiful pearlized leather cord to hang it. And the supplies in this were just too good. These little check glass daisy spacers. And these little embossed bar components I found on a trip at a bead shop, and I don't have too many of them. I do have a couple of extras, so the supplies in this for me were just too good to discard. Even the leather, all of it really. But I know I'm not going to wear it because I actually made a second piece for the video, and that's this one. And I loved the way the second one turned out even better. I put 3 of those charm holders as bails, and I like the color of the little check glass spacers, and I loved the way this little dangle landed at the bottom. So I sent the pink pearlized leather cord. Let's not forget that. And I even had put a little pave magnetic clasp on this one. So I don't need 2 like this, and I really did love this design. So I'm going to keep this one in my jewelry wardrobe and wear it. And what I did on this one, because it was also starting to darken, I'll show you what I did to try to rescue this one, but it has been sort of refurbished, and I did take the time this time to coat everything with my Permalac clear coating. I'm reaching behind me. This is what it looks like. Sometimes I use nail polish for this too, to coat base metal findings to give them longevity, but this is so nice and thin. My bottle's almost empty. It dries really fast, and it just takes a minute after your work is done to coat anything that was like fashion jewelry or base metal. But I didn't take the time to do these pieces 6 months ago, and so they don't look terrible. But anyway, I'm keeping this one in my jewelry wardrobe, and this one is going to be completely redesigned. So before I cut it apart, let me just show you some of the things that I tried, because if you're refurbishing a piece, this may be useful for you. So I started by trying to brighten up this metal. So I have this little vintage sanding block, and really I believe you could even use a buffing block that you would use for fingernails. You just need like different grits of the sanding material. That's really all. So I started by just choosing a side and just like trying to buff off the tarnish, because I started with a polishing cloth and that didn't do anything. And so I've done this one a little bit, and I don't know if the camera is showing you, but it does make it brighter, but it takes away the plating, and then I'm seeing like silver. So I wasn't happy with that as a repair. So then I went into my beloved acrylic markers. I use these to color bead caps. They'll adhere to just about anything metal, ceramic, glass, and I just love these markers. They came in a set. It's an Amazon product. They have a really fat tip and they have a super skinny tip. And sometimes they will cover up tarnish or imperfections. You can even take like pearl or glass beads and put stripes or dots or initials on them. So I've done a lot with these markers, and I decided to try and see if I liked making this little bail, this upside down bail component, a color instead of gold to try to hide the darkening. So I tried the gold. It didn't look good. There's actually a metallic gold that comes in the set. It didn't look good. And then I tried a couple of the pinks that came in the box just to see what they would look like, and I wasn't thrilled with it. It's okay, and it's definitely an option. I just wasn't thrilled with it, the way that it coated. And I don't know if it's just this piece, because these look a lot brighter on certain things, but on this, it didn't work for me. But it is definitely an option if you like the color-coded things. It's definitely an option. And these markers, I think there's even a set with 48 colors. I got like 24 colors in my set, but there are options. It's an Amazon product, and I can link it below, because it is a great way to kind of change the look of something. And I've never even had a problem with it coming off, even without a coat of lacquer on top. But you know, you could determine what it is you're using it on and do that. So that was the second thing that I tried in my repair, and I just wasn't really happy with either one of those. And again, that's why I decided to go ahead and cut this apart. So I'm going to retrieve all of my beads in this piece, and it is going to be a complete and total redesign, because I have decided to make a bracelet. And you may have noticed the things that I have already pulled out on my mat. So, and also, if you are interested in seeing this project, it is a wonderful project, and I enjoyed it so much, and I love this piece. And I'm going to keep one and actually wear it because I love the design and everything. But I will link this in the description box below. It is a 6 months ago video or so, and I'll link it so that you won't have trouble finding it if you would like to go back and watch how I did this little design. It's not difficult at all, maybe a little bit tedious for some people if you don't like small work, but anyway, I'll do that because we are saying goodbye to this design. Oh my goodness. And you guys, I have to say, I feel a little bit like the cartoon dog, or the dog from the Disney movie. You know, I was actually working on this and so excited to redesign this, to rescue my pieces, my ingredients from this, and make a piece. I'm just so excited, but my brain is just thinking, and I'm also really excited about the beads that I received from the Czech Republic, and I did a video on them. Really excited about the price of the shipping, the quality of the beads, the things that they have. And so in my brain, I'm just designing with that, and I feel like squirrel because I actually set this aside and started a whole nother design. And then I said, stop that, you know, that squirrel, stop that, and get back to finish one thing before you start another design. So I am back on this piece today. But anyway, I will have to cut my leather. I will have to lose this because maybe I won't. Let's see. No, I will, because I put the leather right through these charm holders, and I do not believe I can get this clasp off. I don't think it will come. Oh, you know what? I'm wrong. I just realized that if I put the clasps on at the very end of this project with a jump ring, but I just think that if I remove this jump ring, I can actually keep this leather cord, because I have a couple of options in mind for this. I am just not sure yet. But so I have 5 of these little bars that are now rescued, and I have all of these little check glass daisy spacers. I don't know if I'm going to put these back in my stash or use them in the redesign. So I'm going to just set them off to the side and have them here in case I do want them, because I have these little daisy spacers, and you'll see when I show you what I'm going to work on, you'll see that these may look better in the project. They are so beautiful and a little bit make a little bit more of a statement. So I may just put those here too. So what I have done is gone into my stash and pulled out anything that I had that I really love, that I think might go into this design, and the focal point is going to be this little bracelet bar. It is handmade ceramic from an Etsy artist who happens to live not too far from me in Florida, and I love to support her work. Small business, woman-owned business, and local artist. And I have pulled out a little scrap of chain because I am not totally certain how I'm going to clasp this bracelet, and I have these beautiful fire polished check beads, and I have 2 of these hibiscus flowers. They're table cut, they're check glass as well, in my favorite color, and they have that satin and it looks like Picasso wash on them. I love those. I have a little mix of check glass beads in purple here, and it's a mix of some clear ones and some opaque ones. And I have a little stash of these pink ceramic cube beads, which again may or may not get in my design. And I have a little pink ceramic bird, which may end up being the dangle. And so where I'm going to start, I'll just show you quickly the little sketch that I did. This is the idea that I have with the components that I have cut away from that necklace. I want to do an asymmetrical design. I think that I want to put 3 of those bars on one side and 2 on the other, and then followed by that really large check glass flower, and then do some knotting and beading with this Brazilian waxed cord. This is 0.5 millimeter. It's a polyester cord with wax on it, and I've done a few recent projects with this. If you've been on my channel, I'm sure you've seen them, and I just love this. It makes a very fluid, movable piece, and I just love it. I'm working with it again because this is a bracelet that I plan to keep for myself. So I took 2 lengths of it, and it's about 28 inches, and then folded in half because it's a very thin cord. And I already have tested to see if when I double it, if the 2 ends go through everything, and they do. So even including my little spacer bars. So what I think I'm going to do is start on one side with the 2 cords, and I'll have to do 2 more for the other side. And I'm going to make a lark's head knot. So I'm going to come up from the bottom on this side, because I also have considered doing one side this way and doing the other side with a bead component. So I kind of like, since I'm doing an asymmetrical piece, I kind of like having like a metal jump ring on this side going into a bead component, and having this side this way. I haven't fully decided, so before I commit to anything, I'm just going to make a little start here and see how I feel about it. So I think that is so pretty, that purple cord on the pink. And then what I'm going to do is just start off by stringing one of my bars and just pull it right down to the bracelet bar and just see how it looks. If I like this, I will probably do a knot behind the lark's head knot. And I also have to decide if I want beads. I'm sorry, I'm out of the camera. I also have to decide if I want a bead here and then the bar. I'm going to have a look. I'm just going to get this down. It takes a minute to sort of decide the pattern, but once I decide what I'm doing, then it just unfolds. So these little connector bars, if you can see, they have 3 holes in them. And I'm going to ignore that middle hole for this bracelet and just thread on. I just want to see what my spacing is before I decide if I'm going to put beads first. Okay, let's just have a look. This is where, these artisan pieces are thrilling, because you're the designer when you do a piece like this and you get to decide what you like. Oh, that is so cool. I love the mixed media, from the ceramic to the waxed cord to the metal bar. I really, really love that. But I do think I would want a bead there before the bar, and probably one of these, but I'm just testing right now. I'm just going to thread this on. I actually think that these little check glass beads, I think I could only get one strand, but I'm going to try. I think I had to do a knot around these. I do. Now the larger purple ones, 2 strands do fit through that. That is so pretty. Okay, I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to start off with a bead, but I actually want purple to be in between. I think that would look really good. So let me cut this open. So I could have used the little daisy spacers from the piece that I have cut apart that I'm upcycling, but I really like these. I like that. I think these go a little bit better with the ceramic because they're opaque, and then they have that little AB finish on them. I also have pulled a couple of other things from my stash that may make their way in. I have these little gold. That's what I do when I start designing, is I just pull a selection of things that I would like to see in the design, and especially on a piece that I'm making for myself, it's easy because I know what I love. And that way, if I decide that I need an additional spacer, I can do that, and that really does look good with it. But I think I'm going to tie a knot, and I really like my knotting tweezers when I am knotting. Although you don't need them with waxed cord, it's very easy to do this with your fingers, but I love a knotting tweezer because I can be really precision about where my knots land. So you just reach inside the loop and pull right down to the tweezer, and your knot lands right where the tip of your tweezer is, and then you can use your tweezer to tighten. What you're hearing is my bracelet that I made is banging on the table. I love this bracelet. It was one of my videos this week, and I just love it. But what you're hearing is my bracelet banging on the table, and I'm sure it's distracting. And so I'm going to take this off and set it aside. And then let me do a knot on this side as well. So that, love the waxed cord because you get that little stopper, and I just love the way it looks, and it's so easy to work with. So I just do my overhand knot, reach inside that loop with my tweezer, and pull that knot right down to the tweezer tip, and you just get your knot exactly where you want it, nice and tight, no unwanted space. That looks beautiful. And so now I'm going to do a little check glass spacer. There we go. Just bring that down to my knot. Oh, that's pretty. It matches the cord really well. So that will be a really nice little spacer before my gold bar. Oh, that is so pretty. Oh, wow, that is so pretty. I love that. That is gorgeous. And so I think what I might try to do is do a pink bead in between. I think I'm okay with that. I think I'm okay with having one strand in the bead and one strand out of the bead. The strand that's not going through the bead will just hug the outside and add a little bit of purple to the look. And I'm going to tie this knot really tight so that it really stays in place. Yeah, that other cord even went a little bit to the back on that one, and I really like that. That looks great. So I'm going to repeat the same thing on this side. I want to do another bar, I think, next. It goes very easily. You just have to line it up. Ah, that is so cute. I love it. And then the next thing would be one of these daisy spacers. Your knotting tweezer can help you with this too, because when you get your cord to peek through, easily grab a hold of it with that precision tip on the knotting tweezer. And just get that right down. That is so pretty. Just do that same thing where you snuggle that knot really tight to the little flower bead. And look at that, it's so gorgeous. And so let me repeat the same thing. Absolutely gorgeous. I am loving this little pattern so far. Okay, so I am going to continue in that way, making a pattern on this side, and I'm going to pause and do that off camera because it's very repetitive, and you know, the stringing is like watching grass grow. And then when I come back, we'll decide if we're going to repeat on this side or continue with that asymmetrical idea. So it'll just be a second for you. I'm going to pause, keep working, and I'll check back in. Oh my goodness, you guys, I am thrilled with the way that this is turning out. So I have come to this point. I tried my larger flower and I didn't care for it, but I really liked this one, and I'm kind of going again for that asymmetrical look. So I just made this negative space in between the two bars just meet up. And I think that at this point I'm going to draw these together and go into a single bead. That's my idea. And then I also was experimenting with jump rings on this side, and I really like the architecture of double jump rings, and I was looking for the size that I would need to accommodate the thickness of my bracelet bar. And so I have made these out of 20 gauge wire, and I have quite a few sizes here. And then I created these little components with that same 20 gauge wire and just a simple loop on either end with those ceramic beads, and those are going to attach right there. And then this little component I just love. I ran my wire through each side, and this is a Tiara cast toggle set that I had in my stash. And you know, Tierra Cast closed their doors at the end of last year, but I still have a little stash of it, and some companies still have some pieces of it, but this is one of my favorite toggles. I've used this on necklaces, front closure necklaces, and I had another one, and it has like these 3 connection points on it. So what you see here is me experimenting with jump rings. I actually thought that I would need a larger jump ring to reach the loop on my component, but it was just too big, and then this one fit perfectly. And I have some extras out here because I would like to see if a double jump ring will, you know, work in there and still keep this mobility of it, this, you know, flowing movement. So I'm at the point of really just figuring out my length. And I thought that I might, let me go ahead and remove this larger jump ring because it's not going to work. I didn't even close them up all the way. I really just was just looking for size and scale and just checking how it would, you know, how it would lay. So I'm going to go ahead and connect another one of this medium size jump ring. I think these are 5 millimeter. That is the plan. It looks like I got this one pretty good. So I just love the way that is finishing out. I do not think that I'm going to need a second one of these components in order to get my length, but I wanted to show you how I made it. I use my one-step looper. I just find it's simple to get all of my loops exactly the same size with this tool, but you can get these simple loops in there any way that you want. If you prefer your pliers, that is fine. This tool has really saved my hand from pain because I make a lot of jewelry, and so I really like it. And I like that in a piece like this where I really need things to line up, I like that I know that all the holes are exactly the same. So how I started is a little piece of 20 gauge wire and a simple loop, and then my pattern was one of these pink fire polished beads, and then one of these check daisy spacers, and then the bar, and then the same pattern in reverse, check daisy spacer, and then a pink fire polish bead. And then I'm just going to turn this opening of this loop downward. I like my loops opposite direction, don't ask me why, and just put another simple loop in here with my one-step looper. Was just check and make sure that I'm backed off of my bead like a millimeter, just to make sure that I don't damage my bead. And I'm going to repeat that same thing, but before I close off my loop, I am going to slide it through the other hole on that connector bar. So it looks a little bit complicated, this component, when it's all finished, but when you break it down, as in most things with jewelry, it is not complicated at all or difficult. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start with, whoops, wrong bead. Start with a pink, then the purple, and then I'm going to come over here to my bar and add that right on there, and then same thing in reverse. And now you just want to ignore this other side, just pretend it's not there. Line up your loop just as if it was just a normal component, not a double, and just get that second simple loop in there. I always pull my bead back a little bit, and sometimes when I'm using my one-step looper to make a component like this, sometimes the loops will get a little bit offset, but 2 pairs of pliers like that and it is done. So I do not think that for length that I'm going to need this, but that is how I made that component, and I may fit it in here. I'm going to tie off this end, and if I need to add length. I measured with the ruler. I'm going for between 7 and a quarter inch length. So I don't think I'm going to need it. And if you are hearing noise in the background of this video, it's because there is work being done outside my house today on the roof and on the patio, and I just really wanted to make this bracelet even though it's not super quiet in the background, so that's what you're hearing. And let's see, I just have to decide how I want to finish this off, and what I was thinking is to draw these two pieces together and put a knot right there just to secure it. And you know, just get it there like that. And then I was thinking these ceramic beads have nice large holes, and I have all different lengths here. I was thinking that I would take one of these. That one's not great, this one's good, and I haven't tried it, but I'm going to slide this right up to the knot that I just made and have a look and see what that looks like. That's really pretty. Again, going with that asymmetrical design, since I have two of these little square beads on this side, I think that is really pretty. I did do a daisy spacer on either side of this component, but I think on this side it's going to be the purple knot because I can't fit 4 strands through a daisy spacer. 2 was the hole was maxed out with 2, so I actually think I'm going to do that. And I really wanted these purple check glass beads in here somewhere too, and I think that they will be the thing that I need to make my length right. So I'm going to put this knot in place. This one is all 4 strands. And I don't know if you noticed, but I started out thinking that I was going to do the cord on both sides of this bracelet bar, and that is what always happens to me when I turn the camera off and I sit quietly and start to string. It just becomes obvious to me what I want to do, and this was no exception. It just like unfolded. This bracelet has come together so quickly, and I really love the idea of having the waxed cord and like the metal and the check glass on one side, and then going into a wire components and that beaded chain look on this side. I am just loving the way this turned out. So what I think I should do next is go ahead and make sure all these rings are closed really, really well. Looks like I got this side good, and just see how this is hanging. I mean, you know how it's moving, and because the one thing I could do here is I'd used the 1.5 millimeter one-step looper for these loops, and I could redo these components with my 2 1/4 if I need it, just to make that loop a little bit larger, but it looks like it's going to be okay. And I do see that I need to close this one a bit better. One thing, when you have such a dimensional piece, you do have to open your jump rings really wide, and just be careful that you're twisting them open and not pulling them apart, because opening it this wide can sometimes be challenging to get them back together in a perfect circle. But it can be done. Just make sure you're not aggressive in pulling it apart. I don't know if my microphone is picking up the power washer. It's just outside the window. For my ears, it's really loud. I hope the microphone isn't picking it up so much that it's distracting, or sounds like that I'm making jewelry during a hurricane or something, which I have been known to do. I also like to put my pliers inside and just give it a little pressure and just make sure it is a perfect circle before I move on. And I'm going to open the loop on this. I think it's a little easier to fit both of those jump rings in, and do my little open and closing to work harden. And so actually that is hanging and looking great. Oh my goodness, I love this. I just love this. All my favorite things in the world: pink, purple, and gold, and check glass and flowers and artisan ceramic pieces. I mean, it doesn't really get any better than that. And what I was thinking here is jump rings, again, double jump rings. That's what I want to continue with that through the whole piece, and I really think that's what I'm going to do here. And like I said, I don't believe that I'm going to need the component that I showed you that I made, but I'm going to connect everything with a single jump ring and check my length, and then I have it ready if I need it. And if I like the length, I'll go back to these intersections and add that second jump ring. Oh, wow, that looks great. Look at that. That just looks so good. I love this bracelet already. So I guess at this point I can actually see about my length, and it looks like I don't need much more, maybe just one of these purple beads, and then I can tie off. So I can fit 2 strands through one of these check glass purple beads, and then I think that's what I'll do, is 2 strands on the top and 2 strands hugging the outside. I'm sorry, 2 strands through the bead and 2 strands hugging the outside, and do a nice tight knot. And it's not totally necessary to use glue with waxed cord, but I believe that I'm going to use a little bit of glue on my ending knots, because I am going to tie my toggle clasp on to cording. So I think I will take a moment to put a little GS Hypo Cement on that. And somebody asked me in my last video where I said GS Hypo Cement, did she need to get that glue as well, because she uses the Gel Control super glue. And the difference is, I keep both on my work table, because the difference is the GS Hypo Cement does not dry hard and like crisp. The GS Hypo Cement dries with flexibility. So for leather or waxed cording or anything like that that you want to have still have a little flexibility and movement, it's really great for that. Actually, I think that I can do one more bead, and it looks like with one more bead I'm going to be just perfect. So I'm going to push that knot down as close as I can and as tight as I can, and I'm actually going to take these jump rings and attach them to my toggle, and I'm going to see if I can do a double as well and tie my cord onto a jump ring. And the reason I'm doing that is I think that the knot on the jump ring will give me a little bit better flexibility and movement on my toggle. And also, if anything ever goes wrong with my bracelet, if I have knotted and put glue, then I can't do anything for a repair except cut that away and start all over. But with a jump ring, I could open it and, slip it off and make whatever repairs or changes that I need to do. So I like the options of the jump ring. And I'm going to try to continue that double jump ring method through the whole piece. So this is going to be a creative knot because I really don't want all 4 strands through here. I think I'm going to do 2 and then try to make a little, some kind of a little loop. Just kind of a little creative thing here. Maybe even have, let me see how it looks if I thread this back through this way to make my loop, just so that it centers my toggle. And if you see what I did, 2 of the threads going in one direction and 2 going in the other, and that at least makes the toggle kind of center. And so here you can do like a boho look where you add some little beads on the end and have a dangle, and I may do that. I really like that look. But I'm going to, like, I always do that at the very end, see how I feel about the length and the piece and how everything is landing. Do at least 2 knots here. And then, like I said, I will definitely be using my glue for this. I want to make sure that with wear that, you know, it doesn't loosen itself. Yeah, I think the jump ring is going to work because it makes that move pretty nicely. And let's see. And I'm probably going to always wear it this way because I really want to see my little flower. But this is another one of those bracelets that no matter which way this turns, there is something stunning to look at. And it looks like I got my length absolutely perfect. Oh my goodness, I love, love, love the way this bracelet turned out. No matter which way I turn my wrist, I see something gorgeous. And if this spins around, it is just beautiful from all sides. But the bracelet bar feels like it really wants to rest nicely on my wrist. So I ended up with an extra one of these, but who knows, that may make its way into another project. And then I just have to decide if I want to do like the boho dangles here. And honestly, I think I do. I really think I do, because I really love the beads that I have here, and I have 4 of them. So I could do like this, a little stack of those, and maybe a second pink one, and just do all of them differently. So the way that I do that is just take the cord through the bead and come down kind of at random. I want these all to be a little bit, you know, not lined up. And I'm just going to do a little knot. The first one can be anywhere, and then I'll gauge the other ones where I want them to land. And this is really thin cord, so on the ends, when you're doing a dangle like this, you might want to double or even triple your knot. And then you just take your scissors and trim away. And I'll save my little scraps because they make great earrings. And then I usually just take my knotting tweezers and just go ahead and fray. It's counterintuitive with just all the stringing, been trying to keep it all together, and now I want them to come apart. But then I'll just do all 4 like that. This one I think I'll stack on maybe 3. I like odd numbers. So for this little fringy one, I think I'll do 3 of these. I'm so happy with this project. Okay, I did not end up using my scrap of chain. I did not use all of the jump rings that I took out, but that is totally okay because I am working on another project that I am really excited about, and these may make their way into that project. Okay, let's put a little bit of GS Hypo Cement on my, look at that, it's so pretty. I have to try it on again with the little tassels. It's so pretty. I love that little boho look. This worked out great to have the 4 cords there at the end. That just worked out so great. I know the camera is a little bit close to my hand, but look at this. It's so pretty. I just love, love, love the way this bracelet turned out. Look at that. No matter where it goes, it is gorgeous. It is really boho chic. It's elegant but colorful. I like the muted pinks and purples, and it just has like all my favorite things in it. I love the mixed media. It's a true artisan piece because it just has everything from check glass to like metal spacer bars, wire components, ceramic components, the waxed cord. It's just absolutely stunning and fun. Oh my goodness, this is like my new favorite bracelet. So let's get a little bit of knot on the glue on the knot. I said that backwards. This is the GS Hypo Cement, and I mean you could use like E6000, but this has like a little precision tip, and so for this knot, and really honestly this is not totally necessary because I don't know how well you can see, but these knots are really, really in place with the waxed cord. But I just want the extra security because I really love this bracelet. And so that is like literally all I'm going to do. And it doesn't take too long to dry. Okay, done. So I will let this dry a bit and put some pictures up at the end of the video. And I thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the 3rd episode in this video series. It is already planned and it is really exciting. It is a remake of a Goodwill purchase, and I am taking it apart and I'm getting 3 pieces out of 1 Goodwill purchase. I'm really excited about that. So that will be next up in the series. Thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed to my channel and you like my content, it is a great way to support my work. And so hit the subscribe button and also the little notification, that little bell button, and that way you won't miss any of my upcoming videos. So I thank you so much for being on my mat today, and I hope everyone is safe and well and having fun on their beading mats. Ciao, jewelry making friends.